Hope you guys are doing good. I know I'm doing great. It's the middle of the week. I'm surviving it so far. See, y'all are too. Yeah, if you'd like to join us here in the Zoom chat room, you can just go ahead and click on the link there in the description on the Facebook page. You can always just reach out to me directly and I'll just send you the link. Text it to you or email it, and then you can bypass the whole Facebook thing altogether. Just come straight into the Zoom room. It's cool. That's what all the cool people are doing. This evening, I don't have any guest speaker lined up, but I know that some people were saying that they wanted to talk a little bit about branding and kind of understand what that means. What is a brand? And when people talk about branding, what are they talking about? And how is that different from, advertising or marketing? Or is it the same thing? I don't know. But let's talk about it. I know we've got a few people here on the call who have quite a bit of experience with that. And I don't know. I know I've got a bit to learn about the whole topic. So who wants to start us off on the branding topic? Don't be shy.
Anybody.
Just jump right in there.
I can help.
Yeah, Bill Tobman.
Look, branding is, I found, very integral as you go to grow your business because you want to sell your brand to the consumer. They should know your product and your quality based on your brand. It's not the same as marketing. You need to market your brand, you need to market your product, but you need to create a brand. So if somebody hears GCS Glass, somebody hears My Shower Door, somebody hears Britton Tilson, they know what they're getting, and you need to market your brand accordingly. And that goes everything from color, what color appeals to people, what your logo is like, if it's clean and fresh, everything. That's all branding. But then take it to the next step, you can brand the product that you sell. And that's where I think a lot of the shower door professionals had been lacking. Because if you go into anybody's glass shop, or you get a customer that goes in your glass shop and say, what brand do you sell? Most guys are going to say, well, C.R. Lawrence, Cambridge, or whatever. But it's not your brand, it's somebody else's stuff. So you should create a brand that will grow. Nike sells sneakers, but it's their brand, it's the Nike brand, which are different than the Adidas brand. And branding goes with their logo, their placement, and everything else. So it's a really important part of marketing. So it's a part of marketing, just part of your overall reach to the consumer. But lots of thought and effort should be put into that as you brand it.
Yeah, it's definitely strategic when you're building a brand, and brands survive recessions. So people know your brand. They want to do business with people they trust. So if they see your brand around, they know your brand has been around for a while, and you do a really good job getting it out in front of people's eyeballs. They're going to naturally trust that brand because it's been around, like Home Depot, Walmart, Nike, Starbucks, all those people. They built brands. They advertise on TV and they do all these big advertisements. They're not necessarily advertising. They're advertising to get people in the door, but they're advertising their brand. They're just getting their brand in front of people, so you remember their brand when you need something. So, wrapping your vehicles is huge. People don't want to spend have the expense of wrapping your vehicles, but it's not necessarily wrapping your vehicles to make money off the wraps where people are going to call you because they see your vehicle, but you're driving by somebody, they're going to see your brand, and then they might see your brand somewhere else, maybe on a billboard or maybe on a commercial, or hear about your brand and be like, oh, that's that van I drove by or that truck I drove by. They're everywhere. And like your online brand is huge too. It's not just in person. So your online brand is big as well. When someone goes to look up a company like GCS or My Shower Door or whoever, they see you pop up everywhere. You're just not one thing online. You pop up on Yelp, you pop up or wherever your brand is, you pop up, and people are gonna know that you're gonna be there, and you're not gonna screw them out of money, and you're a bigger brand. So
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's trust and confidence that are built into that brand, right? And you'll see a lot of companies even advertise it that way. The brand that you can trust or have confidence in this brand. So it's very, very important for that. Look at Chevrolet. For years, it was Body by Fisher, and AC Delco was the electronics in the Chevy, but the Chevy was the brand, and they brought all these parts together and made the Chevrolet. But again, the body was by Fisher, the tires were by probably Goodyear or whoever they were using at the time. It was AC Delco and the radio and your electronics. And their brand is what brought it together. So that's what we do at My Shower Door. We make our own brand. And you can do the same thing. You can make your own brand, whatever your company is. And if you're using a C.R. Lawrence Cambridge, but you're installing it, you're packaging it, you can sell it as, and just pick a name and go from there. I mean, I've been working with Mike Merlina in Massachusetts, and they're creating their brand and starting to come out with their slider, the door and panel, and everything else under a separate name. And that helps differentiate you in the market when a customer has gone to ABC Glass Shop and then they come into your shop. You want to have something different than everybody else is selling. That allows you to charge the price you want, because you're not comparing apples to apples anymore, comparing your brand to whatever it is they're selling. And pretty good chance they're selling a mongrel brand that doesn't have a name.
What's really important with that too, right there, what Bill just said, is when you're selling something that is your brand, that you're packaging together and reselling it as your brand, if you go out and give that customer a quote and you're the first one to that customer, they put you up here. You're going to have a higher chance of selling that customer up here with your product, because then when they're naturally going to compare everybody else to you up here when you price that. So if you sell something that you're repackaging as your brand, and then they go somewhere else and they're looking for it, and they're like, this is clear glass door and panel, whatever it is, they're gonna be like, well, do you sell this over here? No, this is what we sell. It's the same thing. And then they're gonna just start thinking like, well, they have a brand over here, like they're selling something that's a little bit different. So it definitely helps.
Let me ask you something, guys, please. So let's say if I get like the Serenity from CRL, and I put my own brand, let's say Miami sliding door, whatever. Do I need any kind of formal authorization from them for that?
No,
you don't.
You're using their product.
Yeah, this is a good question, and that's the thing I think people are concerned about when talking about like this branding thing. Now, if you like, I've done a little bit of product development, right? So I've got some experience doing like filing patents, provisional patent applications, and stuff like that. So if I let's say I invent something, a tool, and I name it something, and I sell that tool under that name. If somebody else was to produce that same tool and call it something else, they would be in violation of my intellectual property rights, because I invented that. I have the right to produce it and they don't. Now, if a company wants to buy that tool from me and resell it and call it something else, I'll sell them as many of them as they want. In fact, I do that. I'll sell my product to another company, and then that company, that distributor, they say, a lot of times they'll say, do you mind if we name it something else? And I'm like, no, I don't care what you call it. You call it whatever you want. How many would you like? So as long as you're not producing the product yourself, you're not in violation of any copyright or patent laws or anything like that, and any company that's producing something is going to be happy for you to sell. If you can figure out a way to sell more of them, they're going to love it. And so it's the difference between selling something that's generic right? Which is what we tend to do, inline door and panel, that's kind of the generic name for what you could call the super terrific, hinging thing, whatever, I mean, if you come up with some cool name for it, you're perfectly well within your rights to do that. And then if you want to trademark that name, well, then there's a possibility that you could do that if you want to. And it can be the same old, door and panel everybody else sells, but you've named it something. Now you've branded it. And like Brandon was saying, it's like if you're the first out there and you call it something, Brandon's terrific, hinging door, and then someone else comes along and they're trying to sell it like, oh, this is just kind of a knockoff of Brandon's terrific, hinging door, because I've seen this thing before. The first one to the market really has the upper hand in selling that thing. So,
how
So
strong
if I
a
understand
brand is.
right,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go, Brian.
Licensing would be, Chris, if they get with you, you produce or you have the patent on the product, but then you license to them to actually produce the product. Is that the differentiator?
yes, that's correct. So then
Actually
licensing would be, they would actually do the manufacturing, name it, whatever, and then just give me a little, percentage of the sales.
Right. So I think that's where
deal.
people are getting concerned, is selling it versus and under their own name versus licensing. The licensing is the manufacturer of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's another approach you could do. I mean, you could, if you wanted to produce something yourself, actually manufacture a product that somebody else already has a patent on. You can just approach the inventor and say, hey, we'd like to, can we do that? Can we go ahead and produce that product and just give you a little percentage? And 9 times out of 10, that inventor would say, yeah, absolutely. Let's work up a deal. And then, you just make them and just give me a percentage, whatever you sell. And that would be a licensing deal.
There's probably one more piece in between there, which would be private label.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, private labels, when you're buying something from that supplier and you're having them label it for you,
Correct.
right? So they're doing all that lead work. They probably have a print agreement with a printer, or they're already printing their labels and they're just going to print it for
Yep.
you. And you're still
Stick
buying
it
the
on.
product. Yeah,
Stick it on there, and to the gentleman's point earlier, how many do you want?
that's it.
That's right.
That's
What color would you like?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna see
big sticker or little sticker.
like Costco, like Walgreens, or CVS, all their products are pretty much made from the manufacturers who make the best stuff, and they just have their name on it, and they're literally just getting it from them.
Yeah,
They're
Kirkland
really-
brand is not Kirkland brand,
right,
No, that's
right? It's
exactly-
Cascade, or it's Dawn, or it's Cocoa Puffs.
or Grey Goose or whatever, so.
Talk about the power of branding too, and showing the trust and the confidence. Think about a couple of the products that you've known for years. For instance, like Chris was saying, usually if you're the first one to market, you have an advantage. So when Jacuzzi came out with the Jacuzzi tub, they had a huge advantage.
Mhm.
Now, every time you go into a house and there's a Whirlpool tub, it could be made by Kohler or somebody else. People are still calling it Jacuzzi
Right.
because
Right.
they branded their name to that product. Another
Kleenex.
really good,
Kleenex. Yeah.
perfect.
Kleenex is
Is it-
good.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
about closer to home? How about Arcadia doors?
Mhm.
So
That one.
I mean, for a long time, that's like the generic, patio door,
Okay.
Arcadia, Yep.
Another one was Xerox. I mean, Xerox was
Xerox.
the first copier out there, and people are still saying, hey, go make me a Xerox. Now, that's in
Yeah.
the older age group, but they haven't
Right.
even been in business for years, and people are still calling copy machines Xeroxes.
I mean, Starfire did a really good job.
There you go.
Having a Starfire. Everyone calls it Starfire. It's low iron glass. It's just the brand, right?
Percolite doors.
Percolite.
You
Yep.
got it. So that's the
Band-Aids,
branding.
Kool-Aid, Jello.
Perfect example
All right.
of branding.
I got a good one. I got a good
All right.
one.
All right.
Escalator.
Escalator.
It's actually is a brand. It's
Really?
actually a moving walkway
Did not know that.
is the category.
I didn't know
Wow.
that was a brand.
I
Yep.
didn't either.
Yeah,
I was going to say, when you said Nike, the first thing that popped into my mind was the same thing that everybody had in their mind, was the swoosh,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
right? I mean, there was nothing else that popped into my mind. That's branding in its essence.
So when you think of the
Jordan.
money that they had to spend to make that swoosh a household
Right.
name, they spent millions. There's a
Yep.
movie coming out in
Looks good.
April about that, about how Nike had to spend, and they went out on a limb to get the best athlete in the time, which was Michael Jordan.
Oh, that's
And
right. I saw that. Yeah.
what they had to do to get him to be the ambassador of that brand.
One of the best books too, Shoe Dog. Great.
Thanks, Chance. Can always count on you for a book.
That's right. You read stuff.
Yep. No, branding is super powerful. And even when you're marketing, sometimes you pay to advertise just your brand just to get the reach, right? You're not really trying to sell a job. You're just pushing your brand out there. You're just getting more eyeballs to see your brand.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Actually, there's an argument to be made that Keith is actually branding himself with the videos,
100%.
right? So that's a brand that he's building with that.
He is the brand.
He is the brand. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say there's two brands, right? There's a personal brand and a corporate brand. And he actually mentioned that when he was talking to me a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
Well, and I was just going to comment like what Brandon was saying earlier. I know that he was talking about when with the vehicle wraps. And so the vehicle wraps, rather than putting on, information like, phone number, website or whatever, his thought on that is like, what's the point in doing that? No one's going to call the number on the van. No one's going to be sitting in their car and call the number, but just to make sure that the brand, the logo, comes through so that people see that. And it's, it's kind of, well, what does the word brand mean? Think of it. It's like a fiery thing that's seared in, right? So that's what you want your brand to do. You want to like sear it into the mind of someone. So like when they close their eyes, they still see it, because it's so bright. Think about like that Nike swish. I mean, how genius is that to have just a shape that you immediately associate with a product? And I mean, there are probably a lot of others we could think of that have done that same thing.
It's funny, Chris. There's also sounds that are associated to companies.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So you think of your senses. You go into a hotel and there's a nice scent or a smell there. That's their brand too. They want that really nice, fresh smell. So Donna goes out and gets the hotel air fresheners and puts it in every showroom. So when it comes in, it just gives you that beautiful smell. That's a brand also. People are going to associate your company with that brand.
We're actually working with a company right now. It's PHMG. They do like phone recordings and stuff like that. And they actually create your own jingle,
Sound.
like McDonald's, ba-da-ba-ba. Everyone knows it's
Right.
McDonald's, or the Netflix, so
Who did you say that was that you're doing that with?
PHMG. They're a national company, and they just create your brand sound that you can use for your music in the background. They create, you give them product info. So when people are on hold, it's been known that you close more jobs and keep more customers. If it's not just background music, when they're on hold or silence, it's actually educating them on a process and like you giving them that customer experience while they're on hold. And it's just different recordings you can have. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
They're a good company, by the way, Brandon. I worked with them for a while. They're very good.
nice.
Nice. Yeah, even though like Harley Davidson, they patent the sound of the exhaust.
Okay, they patented that, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You listen to the Southwest airline commercial and they had that ding, that every airline has when, you can undo your seatbelts and you're free to move around.
Right.
So that little ding they use all the time. And now, no matter what airline you're on, you hear it, you think of Southwest because they've marketed that. So
Yeah, you know that like slot machines in Las Vegas, that all of the sounds they make are in the key of C, because they just researched it and found out that that key of like C major is the most soothing, comforting key in music. So that all of them, those jingles and stuff you hear in there are always in that key. Very interesting. It's all psychological. And when I think about like branding versus just like advertising or marketing in general, I think of like strategy as opposed to tactical, right? Because like if you think about like strategy is like a more like a long-term big picture. Okay, what's the overall goal? What do we want to do? Well, strategically, we want to grow, right? We want to be more profitable. We want to install more shower doors. And then tactics are like the little steps you take to get there. So something tactical is like something that you do, specifically in the short term to kind of that all add up to your, reaching your strategic goals. So I think of branding as more of a strategy, right? It's more strategic than tactical. It's more big picture. It's like something that you may not make money off immediately. I mean, you may not make a sale because you're getting your brand out there in the short term. But what you want is when it comes time for someone to buy a shower door, and they're thinking, oh, where do you get a shower door? Who makes shower doors? My shower door, of course. I've heard that a million times. That's who I'm going to call, because it's like that brand is just seared, into their subconscious mind, and it's like, if you can accomplish that, you got a good chance of making a deal when that time comes.
There's been a manufacturer for several #1 brands, and Sherwin-Williams, Monster, right out of college, and worked there for 6 years. And I didn't really understand brand positioning there because I was too young, right? And everything was just silver plattered. You got into every door and the like. But then with Trex Decking, which is the pioneer of synthetic composite decking, and then AZEK Building Products, they pioneered PVC trim for low maintenance and all building material products. And each one of those had 3 pillars, and building the brand and the tacticalness is right in the middle there. It's make a better product. Simple, right? Make a better mousetrap. Mm-hmm. Tell people about it, and make it easy to buy. Those are the 3 foundation principles. Mm-hmm. And that, tell people about it is kind of the tactical execution, of making a better product and identifying it with a brand, right? That's the executing the brand strategy with a product.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, you got to be willing to spend some money to tell people about it, right? You could spend all the time and build a perfect brand, but if nobody knows about it, what have you done? So you've got to let people know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question for everybody. How many people use Facebook advertising, like make ads on Facebook?
We did for a while.
There you go.
We do.
Yeah, I do.
Because I run an ad every week, and I swear I get more business off of Facebook ads or Instagram ads than about anything else I try to like advertise on. I feel like those are my 2 biggest platforms that I get all my calls from, because I always ask someone at the end of a call, how did you hear about us? It's either Instagram, Facebook, or, you just get the random person. Oh, I was just Googling countertops or glass, because I do granite and glass. So I just sometimes I feel like Google is like 15%, and the rest of it's all Instagram and Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah. Facebook is really underutilized. That was like the little bit of advertising I was doing before was Facebook ads, and they were really effective.
So the difference between the two, because we advertise with both, we advertise on Google and we advertise on Facebook. Google is someone searching for a shower door. They're searching to buy a shower door. And Facebook, you're trying to get their attention. You're trying to sell them a shower door. So it's two different types of customers. So you end up spending a lot of money on leads a lot of times with Facebook, because you're trying to when you go to give them a quote, they're not quite ready. They don't even know how much a shower door is. So a lot of people are just shopping. Oh, this looks interesting. Let's just see how much it costs. Or they want to go ahead, but they're like, well, we're actually going to remodel the whole bathroom now. So we'll give you guys a call in a couple months when we're ready. So those Facebook leads take a little bit longer to mature than a Google lead that comes in that is ready to buy right now.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I mean, I do get a lot of people on Facebook that are like, we're just looking for a quote. And like, where I'm based out of in Oklahoma, a lot of people won't give quotes unless they require that they show up and give a measure. And one thing that I've learned is that if I can just get block sizes from these people, I can give them a pretty decent quote. And I just let them, once I get there, like if it's out of square and everything, that's going to add to the price a little bit. So, I mean, but I can get you pretty close within give or take a few $100s. And I've won quite a few bids off of just giving block sizes over the phone, because a lot of them are like, we are shopping for bids. But what I get to and what I run into is that these other companies won't give those block sizes. And I always guarantee you a return around within 24 hours for your quote once you call me. Unless you call me Friday at 3:00, then, it's going to be Monday because my supplier and everything's closed. But I find a lot of the times, though, that if I really just give those block sizes out, and if you're within 30 miles, you're a free quote. If you're outside of that, it's a gas charge or a service call. And I place half of that. If you choose to go with me, I take half of that and apply it to your final invoice. So you're not even paying a full service call. And a lot of people kind of like that too, I find.
I'd say we're talking about two different subjects. Direct response marketing is what we're talking about with you. I'm putting $1 in and I'm getting $3 out. Branding is reputation, right? So you come into a new market, you go spend direct response marketing where I'm going to pay to play, right? I'm going to spend this money and I'm going to guarantee that when I put $1,000 into this, it's going to turn into $3,000 for me or whatever have you, right? But branding is over time. You can't do that near as fast. For some of the guys that are just getting started, direct response marketing is a great way to get into the game, spend to play, and then you always have to play it, but you perfect it over time. The other side of the play is branding. Like My Shower Door, right? A company that's been around, has locations around town, big signage they're at every golf tournament. They're at the Chamber of Commerce, meetings. They're hosting their own events at their shop and getting people to come to their plant and all those kind of things, getting the mayor to talk. Those things, that's reputation, that's brand. There's a really cool company, Gettle Air Conditioning, Gettle HVAC or whatever, right? Large, like 50 to 100 million, maybe do a little bit more. And he says before he gets to any new location, and he wants brand, nothing more than brand. So a story tells the story of a brand. So if you have a good brand, you have a good story behind it that fuels that brand, right? And before he gets to any new location, he goes back to Bill's thing about the senses, right? He goes, I'm putting billboards on the most busy freeways, and it doesn't even have our website. It doesn't have a phone number on it. I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I just want them to remember Gettle HVAC, right? So he puts a big thing up there with their name and a little logo of like this kid with the flashlight. And then there's a story behind the kid with the flashlight, and it's him when he's a kid, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as I get the billboards up, now they're seeing me, right? They're seeing me every day. They're driving those roads and they're seeing me every day. Subconsciously, they don't even know they're seeing me, but they're seeing me every day. And then I'm getting on the radio, and then I'm going to get on the main radio. So they're hearing me. They're hearing me every day. They're seeing me. They're hearing me. And then I'll go play the Google game to go launch that location. But as soon as I get on Google and they start searching me, oh, I remember that company. Where do I remember that company? Oh, because I see their billboard every day on my way to work, right? So that's building fast brand. And then over time, throwing the events and all that stuff, that's building brand and reputation, getting all the good reviews. That's the good stuff right there. She'll tell you all about it. Sorry, that's my little rant.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Tata.
Thank you.
Anyone disagree with me there?
How can I disagree with that?
I think that's good stuff. I mean, like I just, January, I just completed my first year. I'm just me and one helper. So, I mean, I'm just starting out in the whole advertising and learning. And finally, like a year later, I'm starting to get that word of mouth because I've been in construction for over 12 years here. So like I have my name and a little bit of other trades that I did for builders for other places. And, you know, once they found out I had my own thing, they started using me, you know, because I was one of those people that they'd be like, you know, if Sam's not installing, you know, I'll wait till he's available. Don't send anybody else to install my jobs. So like I have a really good reputation just because I've been in construction for 12 years. You know, I'm 33, so it's pretty much what I've done my whole life. And I've done it all around here, Tulsa, locally. So I've really come to see like the side a year later of what it is, you know, starting out, just trying to like push every ad and just, you know, you take those calls like I'm not ready, but you know, you want to take them and like hope for 2 months later, that's a job that's coming. So, but I definitely see like a year later of now, like, okay, now let's focus a little bit more on like branding and like what y'all are saying, because, you know, at first I really was taking every call I could get. I mean, I still do, but, you know, I definitely do focus things in more areas, kind of like what you're talking about now.
And when you guys are designing your logos and your vehicle wraps and stuff, don't overcomplicate them. Because if you overcomplicate it and you might think it's a super cool logo, it might not appeal to the masses. You got to make sure it's the clarity is there. They can read, it's legible, they can read it, and it's not just too overblown with graphics. You got to make sure that it's clear and it's straight to the point and they know exactly what they're getting, because they probably only have a couple seconds of looking at a logo here and there, especially as fast as our minds are and everyone's attention span is now on social media. You only have a couple seconds to catch people's attention. So
So true. You know, I kind of made that mistake with my logo at Showcase Shower Door. It was like a cool looking logo. And it had like a lot of colors, a lot of like you know, texture to it, but it wasn't very legible. And even after having it reworked, it was a little bit more readable, but it wasn't easy to just recreate, you know, in like 4 colors, which is what you want. And actually, a great logo you can do in black and white, right? And it's like, and it'll pop, or just, you know, a couple of colors. That's good advice that Brandon's given right there about your logo, man. Keep it simple, you know.
Make sure it prints well.
That's what I was going to say. Your logo should be able to print in black and white and print in color and come across the same way. And that's how you know you have a pretty legible logo, is if you can do both of those.
Yeah, that's a great topic for today, because I'm going through this situation right now. I'm reworking my logo. So same thing as you did, Chris. I had like 3 or 4 different colors. And now I'm trying to make like two colors, maybe like a light blue or something, only like an accent. But yeah, just trying to make it simple as possible.
Logomyway.com. So it gets like you put a description of the logo that you want, right? And then you put a couple color choices that you want, and then they put it up to auction to graphic design artists, and then they all compete, and then you rank them over time, over like a time period. So then everyone starts to make more like the ones you rank in the top 3. And you get like way more logos than just going to 1 or 2 different graphic artists. You know, like the styles will really open up your mind. It's a really cool way to get a bunch of logos for cheap. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
No, that's cool. I want to put a little point on that. Like, I totally agree with like simplicity in your logo really is kind of key. Like my logo's just 3 colors. Like it's just black, lime green, and bright blue. So my whole thing was like, get those bright colors and maybe it'll just pop, you know, and it's just 2. It's that light green and baby blue, you know, like, I don't know if you guys can see that logo.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's simple. It says 3 words: Sam's Glass and Granite. You know, there's nothing else to it. And then on the side of my truck, I got my phone number right below that logo. It's just on my driver passenger door and on my rear tailgate. Now, I used to work for another glass company, and they paid for like a full wrap across the entire van and showed like a picture of a bathroom and then had like their name on the side in red. They paid like $4 or $5 grand for it to wrap the whole thing. And it's so busy with just the picture of the background of the bathroom that you can kind of hardly make out the name and the phone number. And they would always complain, like every time they get a new vehicle, here's another $4,000 on a wrap. I paid $350 to get my 2 front doors and my rear tailgate with just a simple logo and my phone number under it. And I honestly get a lot of people that call like, man, how many trucks do you have? Because I always see it. I have 1 truck. It's just, I got 1
I've
truck.
had the same, yeah.
I see your stuff everywhere, just like your bright colors just always pop out. I'll be going to a customer's house. They're like, I seen you earlier today at 101st and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, your stuff really sticks out. So, and I have another version that's 3 colors, but it's black, white, and gray. It's not just black and white, it's black, white, and gray, since I've got the 3 color thing. So that's another thing you can do too, is like try to do that way. Cause I go to the gym too. And there's a lot of people, when you work out, there's a lot of people that are builders and other people that are looking for stuff. And I always wear my business hoodie to the gym. Because if someone sees that while I'm working out, I've had people come up to me that are builders like, hey, I'm looking for a frameless shower. I get talks off of that too. So, and I mean, all my stuff I wear to the gym is black, white, and gray because, you be sweating and stuff. You don't want all this colored stuff and then getting sweat marks and stuff on it,
That's right. That's right. Well, who else can drop some wisdom on us? Been around for a while about this whole branding thing.
I can.
Okay, let's hear it.
I just started, actually like 2 days ago, I started a YouTube. YouTube is progressed to like Instagram, where you have Instagram Reels. YouTube has Shorts. What I didn't realize is YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world. So when I'm uploading all my content, let's say I'm making something on Instagram or whatever, I'm loading it now into the YouTube. It's very easy. It's very user-friendly, just like the other platforms. Same video with a preloaded, like copy and paste. I call it a script, like the wording with the website. But even furthermore, when you go to the App Store, you can download an app called YouTube Creator. And the amount of analytics that you can get off of every post is like no other platform that I've been on. I've only been on it 2 days. I can't get off of it because it gives you like real time, real good data. And it's not flooded with users right now. So your viewership is a lot higher. Like all my reels that I've posted on here are getting in the thousands for views when I'm not over on Instagram because it's saturated with content. So unless you hit like the perfect piece of content, it doesn't pick up any viewership. YouTube is kind of still in undervalued attention. And so it climbs a lot faster. But if you can get creative with your word tags, because YouTube is a search engine, think about it. You see a movie or a lyric and you're like, oh, what is that? And I find myself going to YouTube more than Google because I know it's going to be in a video. And so if anybody's looking up wine cellars, frameless shower doors, and they want to see a video and you're already producing content, you should want to produce it or upload it onto YouTube Shorts, and then download that app because the amount of analytics that you can get off of it is really beneficial. And the barrier to entry to get paid, like on the other platforms, Instagram and Facebook, you only need 1,000 followers. And so you can get there actually pretty quick versus the other one needing like 10,000 followers. So you can actually start getting paid off of your advertising at 1,000 followers.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it seems that soon you're gonna be stopping to selling glasses, right?
Sell both, sell glass and information.
Yeah.
Right? One more revenue stream.
Yeah.
The information sells the glass. So you build both. You give out the information and you'll sell the glass.
And YouTube is awesome, Keith, because you're putting it on there and the search lives forever. So if anyone's ever looking for that and your keywords are hitting up and you have way less attention, and it's not like people are getting on Instagram and searching things because it's still falling in that Google category. So
I'm hoping to catch your eyeballs when I do a stupid video like punching Jay in the balls. And versus on YouTube, they can search for you and accidentally find you. So you're kind of getting bites of the apple.
Well, the other benefit though is because YouTube is owned by Google, your rankings go up in your organic searches just because of the amount of content you have on YouTube.
For sure.
So you're more relevant. You're more relevant.
Figuring the backlinks and everything in there too. I'm just still learning it, but if you're going to get in one, that should be another one you get into as well as the YouTube for sure.
So that would be the tactical part, Chris, right? You got to build your brand, but the tactical part is using something like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. But what Keith is saying is you get a huge bang for your buck on YouTube now. Huge. You become more credible.
Yeah, YouTube's big. YouTube Shorts have been a thing for a little bit that it has been untapped that no one's messed with. We actually have a whole YouTube plan. We ended up never rolling it out quite yet, but we literally have the plan to go to YouTube Shorts.
Talk a little bit about YouTube Shorts. What does that mean?
YouTube Shorts are just like Reels, but for YouTube. So you'll have 30-second reels or 90-second reels on YouTube instead of watching a 10-minute video or something like that. It's the same thing, but it's if you're first to the market on it right now, you can really gain some traction.
So now is it just anything that is under a certain length of time will automatically get categorized that way, or is it something that you have to do on the front end?
You have to play the shorts game. So you're posting on YouTube Shorts, like on Instagram or Facebook, you post a story and you post in your feed and stuff like that. It's kind of like that part of it. But Shorts is the people, like, since TikTok came around, if any of you ever have just browsed on TikTok, you browse on TikTok and you can learn things in 30 seconds because they're giving you 2-second, 3-second, 6-second clips, like teaching you how to do a step by a step by a step. So the way that like people are learning these days is like in so much faster pace than it ever has been in the history of mankind, right? So YouTube used to be like you would teach your training process and you put up a video camera and you show the whole install happening, right? And you're recording this and then you're putting some transcription of words over it and saying, hey, this is our training video. And you're super proud that you made this video to teach new guys how to install door and panels, right? But then a YouTube short, you would take all of that and condense it down to 60 seconds or less and show each step and how you're doing each step like really quickly in 2 to 6 seconds, because that's all people's attention spans have these days. If it doesn't catch their eye and keep them engaged, then they're on to the next thing.
That's why on a lot of the videos, and Chris, I think you just did that on one of your videos where if like I go through and edit and cut out a lot of the dead air space, because it makes it much more appealing to the ear because of the attention span that Chance was talking about is so limited. And so you're not actually giving them a chance to say, wait, there's a break here. I can walk away from it. It's continuing to go.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, it's funny because like for me personally, and it's weird because there's like these really long format videos now, like people go for hours and hours, and then there's like these like 10-second things. And I find that I'm drawn to those extremes myself. I either want to watch something that's 3 hours long or like not longer than like 12 seconds, and I don't know what it is about that. It's really weird. Something that's 10 minutes long seems like either too long or too short to bother with. And they're really kind of tapping into that psychology. So yeah, I think figuring out how to say something really quickly and really concisely is something I'd like to learn how to do. I've been practicing a little bit lately.
We send little short videos to our team and stuff on training. Like if someone has a question and something needs to be done, like in the office, and they're not sure how to do it, just a really quick video, just here's how it's done, and they just pick up on it so much quicker.
I like to send GIFs.
Yeah, Rob's the best with GIFs. Just send a GIF over and it gets right to the point, and it's like bam, done. You don't have to call, you don't have to do anything. It's just a GIF and it's done.
So talk about, how does culture and branding meet and meld? Does it?
Does, because our guy, so as for us, we like our swag, right? Like at GCS, we're known for our swag. We have the best hats, the best jackets, the best, like it's always new. It's always getting updated. We always have it. And the guys love it. And the guys the guys want 2 of everything so they can wear it with their going out stuff, not just for work. They like, I want this hat because I want to wear this hat on the weekends. So when I go out, and right there is building your brand because your employees are wearing your brand out, and there it's just more people are seeing it. What do you do? How do you know GCS? For example, my neighbor, when I moved in 5 years ago, didn't really know who I was. We just started talking, and he's a fire captain, and he goes, hey, wasn't a good story, but he's like, hey, I was just on this call the other day, and this guy that I was helping out, he had a busted face because he was drunk and he fell and hit his face, and he's like, he had a GCS hat on, so I was like, GCS, and it wasn't one of my employees. It was actually a old friend of mine, and anyways, but it just, they saw the brand. Or a guy that used to work for me, his son plays t-ball with my banker, and my banker was out there, and he's like, GCS glass, how do you know Brandon? Like, so just them wearing the brand out and around, and building that culture where they want to wear your stuff. They're bought into the company, and they want to brag about the company they work for because it is a good company. It just kind of builds that brand along with that culture.
I got a question for you. So you're talking about, you got like the best hats and the best shirts and everything. Like, how do you go about designing them? Do you use like an app or like Canva, and just kind of put some stuff together and add your own images? Or do you have someone create that stuff for you?
He lives for that shit. That's how that would be his backup career if he could do it.
No, I just take our logos and stuff, and then I have ideas like for like this right here. It says shower doors or whatever down the sleeve. I'll just I'll look for fonts that I like or something to kind of add somewhere. And it's just kind of, I have that eye to do it. And I send it to my graphics guy or my screen printer, who I've been getting my hats and shirts from for the last 9 years. So we have a really good relationship. So they'll just put it together and send me a mock-up to see if I like it or what needs to be changed.
So see, what I've been kind of playing with lately, but I haven't like done any major moves, but like, I don't know if you all know the app or the application Canva. I use that to make a lot of my advertisements on Facebook and stuff like that. But you can also like design other stuff. And I've been putting like stuff together to where, like established 2022 Sam's Glass and Granite. And also like, you get on some of like Glazer Nation or something like that, and you can see some funny like Glazer quotes and memes and stuff like that. And you can kind of take, inspiration from that and kind of make your own funny little sayings,
Canva,
and like
Canva's
that.
good. Canva's pretty good. I mean, a lot of people use Canva. I mean, web designers use Canva to build pages out before they actually build them out. Canva, you can do pictures, and to help with social media, they have different stuff on Canva for that. So Canva's a pretty good app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I use for all my Facebook advertising. Like, I take a picture of a bathroom and then set some fonts in it, like custom frameless showers and custom countertops, and just play with that and do a lot of that. And it really seems to like make a big difference instead of just taking a picture and then just, having some text in the ad. I feel like when you put a little bit more color and stuff into the photo, it kind of pops as you're going across someone's feed.
Quietness.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, getting back to what we were talking about a minute ago, with culture, culture and branding. I mean, I think culture can be part of your brand, and I think it can be an important part of your brand, because your branding is not just for your customers, right? Your branding is for your employees too. Your brand is for the people you want to attract. You want to attract the best people to work in your organization, and so I see that, some of the people who, I think are killing it out there, some of the people on this call, as a matter of fact, have an eye towards that. They're people, and they're building a community, they're building a culture within their organization. And I think branding is a big part of that. If I think of a company, actually, I was at a local grocery store here in Santa Cruz, California. It's called New Leaf. It's kind of one of those hippie places, with all the organic stuff. Yeah, I go there. Well, anyway, I was in there waiting to get into the restroom. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to tell you all of my my whole story here. No, I'm standing there waiting to get in the bathroom. Somebody was in there forever. And then and there's an employee standing there waiting with me, so I strike up a conversation with them. And I was just like, hey, how do you like working here? And he's like, oh, I love it here. I've been here for like 15 years. And he starts talking about the place, and all the things he loves about it. And it was like, I knew that already. I didn't have to ask the guy, because I go to that store all the time and I see how people act. I see, I can tell by the mood people are in what the culture of the place is like, right? If people are crappy and mean and grumpy, it's like, that their managers suck. They're not being treated right, because it's like the leaders in an organization are responsible for that, the mood, the attitude, the culture. And I think a huge part of that is your brand. To be a company where people want to work, where they enjoy working, where they're valued. One of the things I love about GCS that's going on is I see how a lot of effort is being put into finding out about people, what their personalities are like, what their characters are like, what their strengths are, and plugging them into the right jobs where they're going to be the most happy, where they're going to be the most fulfilled, where they're going to be the most productive. And I'm really proud, to be a part of something like that, because I think, you can make money doing all kinds of stuff, right? But to have a career where, that cares about people, is a big thing. And it's like, that's something I see a lot here. And the company is, represented in this group. It's just like people who care about people who are really about people. It's like, yeah, we do shower doors. Yeah, we do awesome bitching, glass stuff, but really it's about us. It's about, taking care of each other. For most of us, this is a family craft, right? Most of us are in this because, it's what our family did. Some of us have just come into it in one generation. But a lot of us, are part of this community, this kind of a small community. And I don't know, I'm kind of on a soapbox right now, but it's kind of my show. So I can do that. So what do you think? Am I on the right track?
I think you're on the right track.
Chris, you crushed it. That's exactly what it is. Anybody down here wants to grow needs to value their employees. The employees are what's going to help them grow. You can't go out and install 50 shower doors by yourself. You've got to have somebody, but you've got to train them, treat them as a professional, and then understand what they're going through also. The harder part is just making sure that they're happy. The job gets done, treat them with respect. There's times that jobs don't go in. How do you handle that? Even if they made the mistake or they dropped the glass and broke it, how do you handle that? They're human, right?
Yeah. How do you handle that, Bill?
If you want a good temperature of what your employees think of you, any one of you even questions what they really think, you should go up to them tomorrow and say, do you believe that I work for you or you work for me? And if your culture is top notch, you should be working for them, or at least you should be perceiving that to them, that you are there to work for them. And if you can wrap your head around that concept, which is foreign to some people, and believe me, if you can wrap your head around that, the amount of work that you will get out of an employee will blow your mind if they truly know that you're there to help them and them first. That's how you would max out any opportunity to a team member that you'd have. But a lot of people can't wrap their head around, no way, this is my business, I built this, they work for me. And you have that right to do that, it's your business, but that's not how you produce phenomenal culture. That's not how you get generational employees. Not with that attitude. Never work.
I've always said employees is the hardest thing in business, is to be able to manage employees. Everything
Yep.
else is easy.
Yes.
Once you figure out how to manage employees, you win the game.
Yep.
So,
People will kill for you.
Mhm.
It will.
How do you know that for sure?
Yes.
I've had employees that
I may or may not know.
We
I
didn't
may or
answer
may not
our
know
accounts
where they're
receivable.
buried.
You would look
This
at our
is last
accounts receivable.
this last Christmas party, one of my employees said, "Oh, don't worry about that guy over there. Brandon's not going to do anything." So he told my wife, "Brandon's not going to do anything. As long as Brandon just puts money on my books, we're all good."
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of accurate, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I know, like, I want to do business with a company that people like being at. It's like, I mean, that's a great, advertising or marketing, branding for sure. If you know somebody who works for that company and they love working there and that company is treating them well, aren't you going to want to do business with that company? Absolutely. I mean, if you have a choice, all things being equal, people want to do business with a friend.
Yeah.
People would much rather do business with a friend than someone that they don't know. And it's like you can't be everybody's best friend, but you can by extension, be friends with a lot of people, especially if there are people who work for you, whether they're people who are employees or people who are customers, or even your vendors, your suppliers. If we're treating them with respect and good humor, they're going to send people. I've had suppliers send work to us.
Right.
Chris, we go to dinner religiously, probably once a week at the same restaurant. It's a little bit higher in restaurant. We get any companies that come into town. We always go to this restaurant. The food is a little overpriced and it's good. It's not like mind-numbingly good, but we go there because they treat us like royalty. The second we walk in, it's like we're their first customer. And we've been going there for literally 10 years. We could go to 100 other places and save a fortune. We go there because the way we're treated. And that's powerful. I mean, powerful.
You take care of your employees are going to take care of the customers.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I know we're running late, but I'll tell you this one story that lots of times when you do things, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because you have to do it. But if you have the right culture and you're doing it because it's right, you're not doing it because you expect to cash in at the end of it. But it's funny how it works. During the hurricane, we had deposits on shower doors for quite a few jobs, but some of the people literally lost their homes. Water came in, washed them out. And they called and asked if they could get their deposit back. And we had already made the glass. We just ready to schedule the installation. And I said to the lady, I says, what kind of a company would we be if I wouldn't give you your deposit back? Granted, we made your glass. It doesn't matter. When you're ready, you'll come to us. We closed 3 jobs this week because of their neighbors that said, I heard how you treated so-and-so. We want to do business with you.
Wow.
3 jobs this week. And it was only because we did the right thing. But that person told somebody else. We didn't advertise it to anybody. She told them.
That's your brand.
That's it. Exactly.
That's your brand.
And that won't go away. That'll stay. And we're going to build that reputation based on that community. Give to the community. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. That was the perfect closing story. Bill Dobman, you've done it again. All right, everybody. Great seeing you. Thanks for showing up. Good talk.
Who's our guest next week?
Yeah, talk about that.
Chance, you know it, right? I don't have it written down.
It's Mitch, right? Mitch
Mitch.
from Precision Glass.
Mitch Goodman.
He worked at HMI's, worked at a lot of big places, started as an installer, now works at HMI. They are barely 5 years old. They've done where they've had $500,000 days as a tempering oven or tempering facility already. And he's there running their inside sales team, and going to be talking about vendor and installer partnerships instead of relationships, like how you can actually partner with your vendor and work more coordinated with one another. Should be a pretty good talk.
Awesome.
Great.
Good
Thanks,
connection.
Chance.
Nice.
Thanks for lining that up for us, buddy. I appreciate that, man.
Yes,
Get on
sir.
my glass for a minute, so hopefully I can make it.
Sweet. Yeah, everyone loves Mitch. If you know him, you love him. He's been from the
Awesome.
West Coast down to Texas, and
Yeah.
Mitch is a cool dude.
Hey, Chris, this new format is really good. You can see the energy, how the viewership is building. You've done a great job, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. Hey,
Yeah.
appreciate
Agreed.
all your help. Yeah, especially you guys. Thanks for helping to line up some speakers. We got a few, the next few weeks lined up. So keep them coming, man. And we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same station.